Ron DeSantis embraces a bold electoral strategy to revitalize his struggling presidential campaign, which is to publicly signal that he'd love to sign a universally unpopular, nationwide 6-week abortion ban. Intrigued? Then click that like, subscribe, and the alert bell, and enjoy the video. All right, folks, do you remember a time when Florida Republican Governor Ron DeSantis was universally considered to be the heir apparent to the modern Republican Party, the only viable alternative to Donald Trump's primacy within that cult? I remember that. I remember thinking that as well. And it seems like Ron DeSantis has been determined to prove us all wrong because he has choked whatever sort of competitive edge or really competitive status that he had with Donald Trump. There was a time when he was trailing him just in single digits within the Republican primary where he was making Donald Trump really sweat. He was within a stone's throw of taking Donald Trump's place. And the campaign isn't over, but right now, I mean, he is dropping like a rock. He is closer to the likes of Chris Christie and Mike Pence and Vivek Ramaswamy than he is now to Donald Trump. That's how bad Ron DeSantis has choked this. And it's because he's, for all of his competence, and to be sure, in certain respects, Ron DeSantis is unquestionably smarter than Donald Trump. He's an unquestionably more learned politician than Donald Trump. In terms of a policy debate, I have no doubt that Ron DeSantis would clean house against Donald Trump. But in terms of political instincts, in terms of cunning, in terms of rhetorical effectiveness, in terms of likability and charisma, Ron DeSantis just kind of sucks. And what the clip I'm about to show you also makes me question his political instincts as well. It kind of undermines the idea that he is an accomplished and savvy politician compared to somebody like Trump. So this clip I'm about to show you is during an interview, I think it's in Iowa, that Tucker Carlson has had with basically every Republican primary candidate except Donald Trump, ironically enough. And Tucker Carlson asks Ron DeSantis a pretty blunt question about a major issue, a major wedge issue for many conservatives and many Republicans, which is the topic of abortion. So let's play the clip and we will unpack it.
You signed a ban on abortion after 6 weeks in Florida. Would you do the same as president nationally?
Well, I'm very proud to say Kim Reynolds is here, and she signed a great heartbeat bill today. We were able to do that in Florida. We had a lot of opposition to that. I'm proud to have been a pro-life governor, and I will be a pro-life president. So, I mean, of course I want to sign pro-life legislation.
You signed.
All right, folks, so that is Ron DeSantis, who is running for the presidency of the United States, publicly signaling that he would love to sign a 6-week abortion ban. Now, he didn't come out and say it in so many words. He used some political speak. But he was asked a question, wouldn't you want to sign a nationwide 6-week abortion ban? Basically what you did in Florida, but on a national scale. And you can tell DeSantis probably didn't want the question because he's forced in this awkward position. We'll get into the political implications. But in the end, he said he would love to sign that sort of legislation. That's not good, because poll after poll after poll indicates that there is no appetite within the American public for a nationwide abortion ban of 6 weeks. As a matter of fact, recent polling, as reported by the Associated Press and others, conducted in late June, indicates that most Americans who live in states who have 6-week abortion bans, like Florida, I think there are a couple of others as well, was it Kansas, that they don't want it either. And how could you possibly have that? The poll found that 73% of all adults, including 58% of those in states with the strictest bans, believe abortion should be allowed at 6 weeks of pregnancy, including Georgia, Ohio, South Carolina, and Florida. That's not good. That's not good for DeSantis. There's no way that can win a general election. Now, obviously, attitudes about abortion vary, and certainly, there's this Republican talking point that Democrats want, abortion up to the day, elective abortion up to the day of pregnancy. That's not a mainstream Democratic position. As a matter of fact, I don't know of a single Democratic official who holds that position. Most people want to return to the standard, prescribed by Roe, which is elective abortions within the first trimester, additional or allowing the framework for additional restrictions per state in the second trimester, and then third trimester abortions, which are statistically speaking extremely rare in the first place. States have wide discretion under the Roe standard to regulate those sorts of abortions between a woman's decision and her doctor. But the bottom line is the vast majority of people want the Roe standard. There is widespread support for 20 to 24-week elective abortions, which is, again, basically the first two trimesters. Now, the problem is Ron DeSantis has put himself in a position where he's trying to, and we've talked about this in previous videos, he's effectively trying to live in both worlds, trying to have a foot in both worlds. He thinks that the best way to beat Trump in the Republican primary is to be more conservative than Trump on social and culture war issues. Because again, no Republican, not a single Republican in the field has a substantive grasp of policy because they know on policy they can't compete with Democrats. Democratic policies are across the board vastly more popular and vastly more effective. So the Republican edge in terms of debate is to lean into culture war talking points. So that's where Ron DeSantis lives, even though unquestionably he has a better grasp of policy than somebody like Donald Trump in terms of like understanding policy. He knows that's not where he's going to win. So he's like, okay, if I'm going to beat Trump, I've got to be to the right of him, consistently to the right of him, and try to appeal to conservatives in the MAGA base. The problem is, even among Republicans, a 6-week abortion ban is really not popular, maybe certain subsets, but there's no guarantee that will win you the primary. And even if it does win you the primary, how the hell can that possibly win you the general election? Because this is what DeSantis struggles to comprehend. In order to win the general, you can't just win. You would have to win every single Republican in this country, and even then probably wouldn't be enough. You would have to appeal to independents, to moderates, to centrists, and probably even to some Democrats as well. Nobody's going to get behind. Nobody in those camps are going to get behind a 6-week abortion ban. So anyway, it just goes to show you how radical Ron DeSantis really is, and helps explain, in part, why he's struggling to keep his head above water. Again, there was a time that he was within a stone's throw of Donald Trump for the Republican primary nomination. And now he's like, according to some polling, 538, I think aggregates it, he's like 30, he's at a 30-point deficit. That's how far he's fallen. And of course, there's still time for him to regain that ground, but it's just increasingly unlikely, especially since Donald Trump doesn't seem to be losing popularity at all. So anyway, just want to show that video just to show you how crazy the next best alternative to Trump, who himself is crazy, how crazy this guy really is.